Hello and welcome to the 18th and final Vulval Pain Society social media live of 2021. I'm Sheren Gaulbert, Vulval Pain Society trustee, therapist and pain science educator. Please say hi in the comments so that I know that you can see and hear us okay. I can see there's 12 of you already joining us. So if you can just say hi in the comments, it means I know that you can hear us. I'm really excited about today. I have been looking forward to this all year as we are covering yoga for Vulvodynia. Hi, Lorna. Thank you for saying hi in the comments. That's great. I'm really going to encourage you, if you are watching live today, to pop your comments. Wow, I can see the room filling up, which is lovely. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So I'll encourage you to pop your comments and any questions about yoga or perhaps about meditation in the chat as we go along today so that we can get things answered for you. If you're watching the replay, we'll see if our guest might be happy to hop on and respond at some point. Now, having said, I'm looking forward to today. Our guest has suddenly hopped off again, so I'm hoping she's going to jump back in. I'll keep an eye to see that she's not in contact another way. Here we go. She's back. Fantastic. Phew. So I'm delighted. We're rounding off the year with this practical. We're welcoming back a beautiful human being we had on one of last year's webinars, Ameneh Bahadouri. Ameneh, hi. Ameneh, can you hear us? Oh, hold on. We have a, see if I can wave at her. Ameneh, can you hear us? Hold on, let's see whether she can. Okay, so if you have any questions about yoga or meditation, pop them up in the comments so that as Ameneh gets all the tech ready, she's ready to answer things for you. Before we get into the practical part, there's a couple of questions. Ameneh, can you hear us okay? Ameneh? Don't know what's happening. So yeah, do let us know your questions in the comments. I know that Ameneh works with people experiencing pelvic and vulval pain. Ameneh, can you hear us? Do let us know your questions in the comments. I know that Ameneh works with people experiencing pelvic and vulval pain. Ameneh, can you hear us? Okay, so Ameneh, so you've got the sound on I think your laptop, which is.
I can't hear you very well, no, and there's a lot of feedback.
Ameneh, so you've got the sound on I think your laptop, which is.
I can't hear you very well, no, and there's a lot of feedback.
So that's coming back at us because I think you're playing it on your laptop, and so where we had it before and you had your headphones in to listen, could you pop those back in again? So those of you who are watching, there's 20 of you in the room, 21 of you. What questions do you have about yoga and meditation and about how those might be helpful for Vulvodynia? I know that for me personally, yoga was part of my journey when I had Vulvodynia. And at the point I brought it in as a regular practice, I did notice this calming of the nervous system. So if any of you have already started on a journey with yoga or you're more experienced, do let us know in the comments as to how you might have found it helpful. So we know with things like yoga and meditation that it can calm the nervous system, which is really important when it comes to persistent pain. If we have things that stress us out, even if they are in the background without us not even knowing an underlying level of stress, they can amplify the symptoms. So Ameneh has just commented on the Facebook chat to say that she is going to try to rejoin. As she's doing that, I'm going to just let you know that all of our live streams remain up on our Facebook page to watch and rewatch. So all 18 live streams, so this one included and the other 17 from 2021, and 9 webinar recordings from 2020 are on our YouTube channel, and I'll be popping up links to those. And we've had some wonderful presenters over the last 2 years, and we're really grateful to each and every one of them. And Ameneh was on last year as well on one of our webinars, and today in the practical she'll be sharing things that you can apply pretty easily, based on what might be, just kind of tuning into what might be okay for you, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into that in a moment. So we want to thank everyone who joined us as a speaker, as a presenter, sharing their knowledge and their expertise. We've covered a whole range of topics. We've covered best practice in treating vulvodynia, the very first one that was from 2020. We've covered multidisciplinary care, preparing well for gynecology and pain clinic appointments, and there is a questionnaire on our website, vulvalpainsociety.org.uk. You can complete if you experience vulval pain before you go into a consultation, so that you can have your voices heard better. We've covered physiotherapy, and we've had a number of excellent vulval pain physiotherapists come on and give their perspective and practical exercises and advice. Vulval skin conditions, again, we've had a couple of speakers on vulval skin conditions. So lichen sclerosis, lichen planus, we've covered those, and we have a Q&A on that as well on the YouTube channel. We've looked at vulvodynia research, psychosexual medicine, sex and intimacy with vulval pain, vulval cancer, menopausal wellness, we've covered a couple of times, pain science and calming the nervous system, no surprises, I covered that one, vaginal examination in labour and consent. We looked at the role, we explored the role of the gut microbiome in pain, pudendal neuralgia, bladder pain syndrome, the connection between sleep and physical health, pain management, and today I'm hoping Ameneh's just popped back. I'm going to let her back into the room, and fingers crossed she'll be able to hear us.
I can hear you now.
You can hear us. Yay!
Oh dear, so sorry about that.
No problem at all. These things happen.
Yeah.
I'd still managed to yap away, so no problems there. Ameneh, thank you for joining us. We're so grateful. Before we flow into the practical part of today, just a couple of questions to start, if that's okay. And I can see a couple of questions have come up in the chat as well. But a couple of things to start off with. I know that you work with people with vulval pain, with pelvic pain. So tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what led you to this path.
Yeah, thank you, Sheren, and thank you for bearing with me while I sorted the tech out. I've been teaching yoga for 5 years now, and it's been a practice that's been a part of my life from a very young age, and something that I picked up a little bit more seriously as I entered my 20s. I'm 34 now, so the best part of 15 years, it's been a very kind of big part of my life. I trained in India, and it was classical yoga that I trained in and qualified to teach. And when I came back to London to teach, I realized that there was a lot more scope and a lot more need for addressing people's experiences from a much more therapeutic angle. And so very quickly, within a few months of teaching, I realized that I needed to kind of study more, learn more. And I taught for 2 years, and then I got accepted onto a yoga therapy course. actually 3 years now. So I started my yoga therapy course this year, and so I'm well on the way. I'm deep in that right now, in my studies right now, and throughout the last few years, I've worked with people more so on a private basis, one-to-one basis, and there's a lot of recurring sort of pelvic pain issues that keeps cropping up, predominantly in women, also some men, but predominantly in women. So I've had to kind of, particularly in the one-to-ones, it's a lot harder in group classes, to kind of steer towards working with either strengthening or stretching the pelvic floor. But added to that, my interest in kind of the biopsychosocial factors as well have increased, and actually yoga has a beautiful way of kind of addressing all those facets. You know, in terms of energetic work, working with the subtle body, which is something that the yoga practice has high regard for. So that's where essentially I've landed in. I'm still teaching general classes. I am specifying and delivering classes according to different topics. But I generally find that kind of the therapeutic aspect of yoga, even though it can be addressed in a general class, in group classes, happen on a one-to-one basis. And so I really now wish to kind of, see if I can reach more people with the yoga practice. I think, Sheren, ultimately the most important thing with yoga, what I'm learning, what I'm realizing, and science is proving time and time again, is this idea that we need to down-regulate our nervous system.
Yeah.
I think everyone can relate, particularly over what's happened the last 2 years, that addressing what's going on in our nervous system is probably one of the most effective things we can do. And that yoga has profound impacts on the nervous system. I think that's where leads me up to where I am today.
Yeah. And that's really important, the down regulating of the nervous system. When you dropped off, I did kind of talk about calming the nervous system, which is pretty much, it's the same thing when we talk about down regulating the nervous system. And certainly over the past 2 years, as you mention it, I've had people that I've worked with in the past who've been well or been managing really well suddenly come up and contact me again and say, hey, my symptoms are back, or that I'm not managing very well. And with what has happened in the past couple of years, it's no surprise that if we're human after all, right? We can't avoid what's going on in the world, and things go the other way. There's that upregulation, there's that amplification of things. So anything that can downregulate, and that's a really obvious example, but often what can happen to us in life isn't a single trauma or a series of traumas. It's a background level of stress that we don't even notice. We might even think we're fine, we're happy, we're doing well, but that background level of stress can reach a sort of tipping point. Anything to downregulate the nervous system. Ameneh, what would you say? You talk about you're now doing this therapeutic training. When you started off, you trained in India. What would you say to people who might think there's a religious component to this and be concerned about that?
Such a good question, Sheren. And you know what? On my last piece of homework, that was one of the questions that we were asked, how would you address? Because there is this idea that there is a religious aspect attached to yoga. I think first and foremost, traditionally, yoga started 4,000 years ago, and it was totally removed from religion. It had nothing to do with the kind of subsets of religions that were taking place in the country of origin, which was India. So when it first came about, the practices had absolutely nothing to do with religion, and actually were shared with people as a way to live well. So those, that's the foundation of yoga. Over time, of course, being in, an ancient Indian culture with its religions, they found ways to kind of weave the yoga practice in. If we fast forward back to the present day, however, what's so interesting is that the practices that were regarded 1,000 years ago, hundreds of years ago, are now being proven by science as effective. And you can approach yoga with a totally scientific and evidence-based approach. The effect it has on our physiology, on our neurology, there is so much information, so much evidence, ones that are tangible that you could feel right away, and ones that show up and compound over time after committing to a practice. So that's what's really interesting. And the Yoga Therapy Institute that I'm studying with, interestingly, holds both the scientific approach and the philosophical approach with high regard, and both as extremely as important as the other, which I find fascinating, because I think, we seek evidence in this day and age. We're in the data age, aren't we? So we want the data, we want the information, and we are getting it. But coupled with that, I think that philosophy of yoga, being compassionate and being kind to yourself, looking after your body, looking after your environment, these philosophies really do contribute to general well-being. So I would say, if somebody's a little bit tentative about the religious aspect, there are plenty of ways to dive into yoga without having to kind of entertain that aspect of it, or to feel that they're subscribing to any belief or religion.
Okay, excellent, great. And you mentioned the impact, yoga, meditation, perhaps breath work can have on someone's physiology and neurology. And as we're talking about Vulvodynia today, in your experience, have you found that those people that you've worked with have noticed improvements or are managing things better as a result of yoga or breath work or meditation?
Without a doubt, yes, but in subtle ways and in different ways, in sort of collaborative ways. So, for example, there's an immediate effect that they can feel from 10 minutes of breath work, 15 minutes of breath work meditation, or 45 minutes to an hour's worth of yoga, depending on what it is that they need. So they'll feel something physical and something tangible very quickly if they do breath work, down regulate the nervous system, kind of activate the vagus nerve to enhance that feeling of relaxation, to enhance that activation of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for relaxation. But then, depending on what a person's need is, again, it comes back to what yoga does. It starts to balance both hemispheres of the brain, so that you cultivate a level of awareness that isn't normally present because we're so stimulated by other things. So what yoga does through the breath work, through the meditation, through the movements themselves, and I saw a question there asking if you can do yoga without sitting down. Yes, you absolutely do yoga without sitting down, and tonight's yoga will be just that. There are physical benefits, and physical benefits you feel immediately and over time, depending on whether there's strengthening that you wish to do, strengthening of the muscles, strengthening of or increasing the bone density. And then there's also the kind of lengthening and the stretching and the releasing of tension, coupled with the neurological benefits, balancing the hemispheres of the brain, allowing you to get control of the nervous system, ultimately all leading to your brain being able to be in a state of awareness and focus. And from that point, decisions that you make, you're able to respond rather than react to sort of environmental stimuli.
Lovely. And you talked about strengthening and then stretching and lengthening. And one of the things we hear time and time again from physios is that for some people, the strengthening is the last thing they need when it comes to vulval pain, because there's already that kind of that tightness. Yeah. Um, yeah. So when someone's practicing yoga, um, how is it still helpful? Is there's not the over strengthening, or are there different poses for different things? So poses for strengthening and poses for lengthening and stretching, and people work out what's right for them.
Absolutely. And it comes down to sort of an anatomical perspective where we can move into poses actively, whereby we contract muscles, we engage certain muscles in the body, depending on which position we're in, to strengthen them. And then there's postures that we can do passively, where we don't necessarily engage. We allow ourselves to kind of release and let go so that we allow to lengthen. Ultimately, a combination of both is needed, because even though across the pelvic floor there may be sort of a contractive state, possibly the surrounding muscles, such as the glutes, would benefit from strengthening. A little bit of awareness in posture to kind of strengthen the muscles in the back would be really beneficial to kind of hold the body, to allow the pelvic floor to have its space to relax and release. So a combination of both is balance, basically, strengthening and lengthening. But yes, you can absolutely isolate each one, whether you want to strengthen or whether you want to stretch and release and lengthen.
Wonderful. Brilliant. Good to hear. So tell you what, Ameneh, shall we dive into the practical and go and explore? And I'm
Yeah,
going to come off the screen. No one needs to see me. But I'll be listening in the background and I'll be reading the comments. So over to you, Ameneh.
thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you to all of you who are joining me. I originally had a different camera set up, but now I'm on my laptop camera, which isn't as good. So forgive me if you can't see me as well. I'm going to try to just position myself a little bit better so you can see. And Sheren, if you don't mind, if if you're happy with that, then perhaps don't say anything. But if you've got any recommendations on this, the positioning of the camera, feel free to let me know. So to answer, I believe it was somebody asked earlier on. Yes, you can do yoga without sitting down. There are so many poses that we can work with. Today's session is going to be predominantly lying down or in a tabletop position. So we're not going to be putting too much weight on our seat bones. So hopefully that will be good news for you. What I will say, just to preface this session with, listen to your body. Do what feels comfortable. There is nothing that you have to do, and absolutely rest whenever you want to rest. If you want to take a nap in the middle of it, then I highly encourage that. We're going to be working with the breath, and we're going to be doing some postures, and ultimately it's not about getting the postures right. It's about just allowing the body to explore, to see where it can go. And you take yourself up to where feels right for you this evening. And if you're happy to hold it, work with the breath. And if you wish to come out of it, then absolutely do. Okay. So, having said that, let's begin lying on our backs. Make sure, and you don't need a mat. You don't need anything at all. Okay, you can do this on your floor. If you're on a wooden floor, it might be a little bit cold. So maybe on some carpet or on a rug or something like that, just so that you're warm. And actually, make sure that you are going to be warm throughout. So if you've got some big fluffy socks, you can go and grab them now. We're going to start off on our backs and allow your feet to just ground in, so you keep the knees up. Allow yourself to settle in and just feel into the spine and into the hips, the pelvis. Any niggles, just notice them and see if there's anything you can do. Maybe roll the shoulders down, have a little wiggle around to get yourself comfortable. And you just want to feel stable and steady here, through the hips, particularly against the ground, through the feet against the ground. And if you feel comfortable, place your hands on your lower belly. Let your elbows just fall out to the sides. And so we're going to work on some breathing here. And without just doing anything at all, allow yourself to take whatever breath that you want in whichever way that it comes. And very likely, you'll feel a little bit of movement in the belly at some point as you breathe in or out. Start to bring your awareness to the breath even more and see if you can notice where the movement happens as you inhale and as you exhale. And from this moment onward, for the rest of the session, my invitation to you is to inhale through your nose. And then you can choose how you wish to breathe out, how you wish to exhale. You can breathe out through the nose or through the mouth, it doesn't matter. But the important thing is to breathe in through the nose. Notice how the belly may rise as you inhale and how the belly falls as you exhale. And it doesn't have to be a big movement. It can be very subtle, very small. Give yourself a couple more rounds here, just breathing in. Really allow yourself to be here with me now. This is something that you're doing for you for the next half an hour. And when you're ready, on your next inhale, see if you can take a deeper breath in and maybe feel your belly just rise a little bit more. As you exhale, just let the belly fall down softly as it does. No need to force. And then again on your next inhale, see if the belly can rise and you can feel a little stretch through the ribs at the end of your inhale. And then soften again as you breathe out. Let it go. And as you feel that belly rise and that slight stretch of the ribs at the end, you've entered diaphragmatic breathing, which is a really wonderful exercise to help release the pelvic floor, help release the psoas muscles. And the psoas muscles travel all the way up and just about connect to the diaphragm and go all the way down into the hips. This is a muscle that can also experience a little bit of contraction, or maybe a lot of contraction if we experience tightness in the pelvis or discomfort in that area. Give yourself one more deep inhale when you're ready. And a long exhale out, as long as you can. From here, take your hands out to the sides and just ground your palms down into the ground. And if you wish, you can just move your feet a little bit wider, as wide as is comfortable. And you may need to readjust as you get into the movements, but just go very gently. And you're going to start to rock your knees from side to side, just left to right. Keep your feet where they are. And then your knees will tell you whether you need to readjust the feet, whether that's going wider or moving the feet closer to the body or further away. So again, trust, listen. The body will tell you what feels right and what doesn't. And as you move from side to side, see if you can so very gently start to bring the knees down so they both travel in the same direction, just like windscreen wipers. Bring them down over to one side as far as you want to go. I'm not interested in touching the floor tonight. I certainly am not. You just want to allow that kind of side to side movement to grow a little bit wider. Take a big breath in whenever you're ready, through the nose, and a long breath out. And if you feel comfortable here, make sure that you continue to move slowly. You can also roll your head from side to side, applying a little bit of gentle pressure on the scalp. And deeply breathing. And then when you're ready, slowly finish off and just bring the knees back to the center. See if you can bring your feet a little bit closer to the body. Your knees are going to be talking to you throughout this whole thing. So just have a listen, see what they're saying. And if they're happy, then great. If they're not, just reposition your feet. We're going to move into a little lifting of the hips. And really, we just want to have a slight lift off the ground. We don't want to lift the hips up to the high heavens, okay? It's not what we want to do. But what we are going to do is we lift the hips. We're going to inhale and take the arms overhead. So reach the arms overhead and feel the weight transfer into the shoulders. You can see my bottom is not lifting off very high. And then keep your arms where they are. And then slowly lower the hips back down. Very slowly, take your time. And then again, when you're ready, press through the feet, gently lift the hips up, take an inhale. Keep the arms where they are, exhale, lower the hips back down. See if you can be very gentle with yourself. I see from my experience, most of us tend to push, right? And we don't want that tonight. So inhale, lift the hips up very slightly. Exhale, lower the hips down. And again, when you're ready, slight lifting, inhale, push through the feet. Exhale, hips down. Let's do one more. Inhale, hips up. Exhale, hips down. And then slowly just bring your arms back to the mid-body. And then if you feel comfortable, roll over onto one side. Make a pillow with the arm that's underneath you and just take a moment here. Allow yourself a breath in and out. Very good. We're going to roll over onto our belly now. So just switching over onto the belly. Again, remember to listen to your body and anything that doesn't feel right. Take a rest, take a moment. Maybe you could just observe. Make a pillow with your hands and place your forehead or one ear on the hands. And you may not be able to see me clearly, but I'm having a bit of a wiggle here. So I'm just shaking my bottom, or wiggling my bottom left to right. And as I do that, I allow my feet and legs to roll with the hips. So if you can see my heels, they're rolling with the hips. The legs are rolling too. Allow your belly to just relax against the floor. We have a bit of a wiggle here. Take a few deep breaths. And once you've done a bit of that wiggling, I love this posture. I get everybody to do this with me. So if you don't enjoy this posture, I'd be really interested to hear from you. Let me know. And then once you've done that, just stop. Allow your body to settle. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here. Inhale. Feel the belly gently pushing against the ground. Exhale, soften. And let it go. Inhale deeply through the nose. Feel the belly expand. Exhale through the nose or the mouth. Let it go. One more inhale. Belly expands. Exhale. And let it go. So when we allow ourselves to really relax this area, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because society today has managed to drill into us that we, particularly as women and men too, that we need to really have this kind of tension in the abdomen and draw things in. You know, anything that's hanging out is not welcome. And this practice tonight is going to need us to really embrace the opposite. It's going to need us to embrace our relaxed, supple bellies. From here, when you're ready, just take your gaze forward and you come up onto the forearms slightly. And I want you to draw your elbows in. And you see if you can line your elbows up with the chest. And just see how it feels in the lower back. Keep your feet hip distance apart. And if you need to ease off on the lower back, you can just take your elbows and forearms a little bit further ahead. But if you feel comfortable, see if you can line the elbows up with the chest. And what that does, it just props you up a little bit higher through the spine. And from here, you're going to take your gaze softly forward and roll your shoulders down and allow your heart to face forward. See how this feels for you. And we don't want to squeeze the bum. We don't want to squeeze the belly or push anything. We're just allowing the belly to relax. And here we're going to take some deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Feel the belly expand. Exhale. Inhaling. Exhaling. On the next inhale, see if you can breathe and reach it all the way down to the bottom. And exhale. And by bottom, I mean your bottom. Inhale again, reach the breath all the way down. Belly down to the bottom. And then a long exhale. Take a moment, bring your awareness to your lower spine. See how it feels, okay? And if you feel comfortable here, see if you can press into your hands and lift your elbows up to the ground. This is going to apply a little bit of pressure through the belly and into the hips. And if it doesn't feel right, then slowly ease yourself out and bring yourself back to a point that feels comfortable for you. And here, if you are settling in, take another deep breath in and out. In and out. One more in and out. Wonderful. From here, make a pillow with your hands. Bring yourself down, place a forehead or an ear on the hands, and give yourself another wiggle. wiggling. And you can do this slowly or a little bit faster. See how it feels for you. Let your legs relax, let the feet relax, and just let the hips dictate the movement of your legs and your feet. And then just stop the wiggling for a moment. We're going to take our leg, and it doesn't matter which leg you take out. We're going to slide our leg out to the side, okay? As if we're kind of hitching up a leg, right? And really, it's up to you to see how far up you want to come. If it feels very tender or tight through the inner thigh and the groin, you don't have to bring it up too high, okay? You can just slide the knee out a little bit out to the side and let the lower half of your leg just dangle downward. And you can gradually lift and increase the height of this knee and leg and thigh rather, and see how it feels. So you create that opening through one hip. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here. So allow yourself to settle comfortably. See what feels right for you. Some of us may feel a little bit uncomfortable in the knee. And if that's the case, you just bring it further down. Okay, so see where you're at. Have a little wiggle around and see what feels good. And let's do 3 rounds. Inhale deeply through the nose. Send the breath to that open hip. And a long exhale through the nose or the mouth. Inhaling deeply. Exhale completely. Inhaling deeply. Send the breath all the way down to the open thigh, open hip. And exhale. Some of us may really enjoy this posture. So if you're really enjoying it, just take a moment to linger here. If you feel ready to come out of it, just slide the leg back down. And then we repeat on the opposite leg. So sliding the opposite knee out to its side. Gauging, taking it slowly. So I start off by taking it out just a little bit. See how it feels in the knee, in the thigh, in the hips, and the groin. And then if I feel like I can come up a little bit further, then I do. If I can't, then that's perfect also. And once you've settled here, have a little wiggle around. Make sure that you feel steady and comfortable. And let's do 3 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale long through the nose or the mouth. Inhale deeply through the nose. Send the breath to the open hip, open thigh. Long exhale down. One more, inhaling deeply. And a long exhale out. Slowly, if you like it, just linger for a few more moments. And if you're ready to come out, slide the leg back down. When you're ready, taking your time and see if you can move ever so slowly, as if you're moving in slow motion. Take your hands to the sides of your chest, and you're going to push up and come up onto the knees. As you come up, you're going to slowly, and the slower you go, if it feels right for you, gives you an opportunity to really lengthen the muscles in the bottom, the glutes essentially. Lengthen through the perineum. Lengthen through the hamstrings. And allow yourself to send the hips back. And again, as you do this, see how it feels in the feet and the ankles. Maybe you want to just take your knees out a little bit wider than your body. Give yourself some space to settle down into. And then from here, ever so slowly bring yourself down onto your forearms. And you can make a pillow with your hands. Place your forehead onto the hands. Or if the head reaches down, rest your forehead onto the ground. If you feel very comfortable here, you can then reach the arms and lengthen. This may intensify the stretch for you a little bit. If that feels great, then fine. But if you want to just feel steady and stable without intensifying it, keep the elbows bent, forearms close to the body, and we're going to hold this for 5 deep breaths. Remember, whenever you feel like you need to come out of it, just slowly bring yourself up. It's not a problem. Let's go together. Inhale when you're ready, through the nose. Exhale long, through the nose or the mouth. Inhaling deeply, really send the breath through the back, down into the hips. Exhale completely for as long as you can. Third round, inhale. Exhale. And again, inhaling. Exhaling. Last one, inhale. And exhale. When you're ready, if your arms are stretched out, just slide them back close to the body. Lift your head forward, gaze forward, and then push through the hands. And you're going to slowly transition into tabletop position. Moving slowly not only allows your body to kind of stay, up to date with what you're doing, up to date with the brain and its processing, but it doesn't excite the nervous system. And that's really what we want, because everything outside of our lives is stimulating, exciting, overwhelming. And so when we move slowly, the body feels safe, the brain feels safe, and that allows us to really enter deep relaxation. If you like to have a stretch of your feet, press the toes into the ground. And as you press the toes into the ground, you can gently rock your hips back and forth. Hopefully should give you a nice stretch through the soles of the feet. If you've been in shoes or on your feet all day, you'll definitely feel this one. But also a really nice way to continue stretching that posterior chain, the glutes, the hamstrings. Once you've done this a few times, bring yourself back to the center tabletop position and just relax the tops of the feet down. From here, you're going to, we together, we're going to be articulating the movement of the pelvis. So allow your belly to relax and drop down. As you do, you're going to create a slight curving of the spine. Roll your shoulders back and down and take your gaze forward. And you may be familiar with this classic posture, but we're really not going to take the gaze upwards. We're just taking the gaze forward, heart faces forward, shoulders down, and we're not pushing and thrusting the tailbone up. We're just allowing the belly to relax. When you're ready, take a deep breath in, and then we're going to counter this posture by pushing the ground away. Drop your head down and round your back so that you create an arching of the back. And we move into the curving of the spine, anterior pelvic tilt. Inhale, drop the belly, look forward, heart forward, shoulders back. And then exhale, drop your head down, push the ground away and round your spine, posterior pelvic tilt. And we're not pushing on either end. Inhale, drop the belly, gaze and heart forward, shoulders back. Exhale, drop the head down, push the ground away, round the spine. One more, inhale, looking forward, dropping the belly, tailbone up very gently, and then exhale, drop the head down, push the ground away, round the spine. Very good. And then when you're ready, slowly walk your hands forward, come onto the belly. Give yourself a final wiggle here. And then roll over onto your side. Take a moment on your side. And then carefully taking your time to roll over onto your back. So we're almost there. We're on the home run. Feet into the ground. Again, just have a little wiggle around. Make sure the shoulders feel comfortable. The lower back feels comfortable. Hips feel steady. And then when you're ready, bring your right knee into your chest slowly and see if you can grab hold of just underneath your knee, or if you can reach the back of your thigh. And you're going to gently squeeze the leg into the chest, very gently. Take a deep breath in. Feel the belly push against the thigh as you breathe in. Exhale, release. And then from here, you can stay if you want, or you can start to flex your foot. And by flexing, I mean, see if you can draw your toes towards your body, towards your head, and then start to reach the sole of your foot towards the sky. And if it feels available to you today, you can reach your hands up to your calf, wrap your hands around your calf, your shin, and you can gently squeeze that leg down into the chest. If this is not available to you, you can do the same thing by just squeezing the back of the thigh. Keep that foot, sole of the foot facing the sky. And take a deep breath in and out. Slowly release. Bring the foot back down to the ground, and we're going to do the same on the left leg. Bring the left knee into the chest, holding the leg any way you like. It really doesn't matter where you hold it. And then squeeze the knee into the chest. Take a deep breath in and out. And then if you want, flex that left foot, draw the toes towards the head, and then reveal, start to show the sky, the sole of your foot. And then you can either hold the back of your thigh or wrap your hands around your calf, and you gently squeeze the leg into the body. Take a deep breath in and out. Bring both knees into the chest, and you're just going to take your hands onto your knees, and you're going to gently draw circles. Keep the knees and feet together and draw a circle, using your hands to just guide the legs. Don't matter which direction you go in. Just a couple circles in one direction, then a couple circles in another direction. Very good. Drop the feet down to the ground. Take your right foot, place it on your left thigh, and you're just going to gently, with your right hand, allow that thigh to just come out a little bit. So guiding the right thigh out. And if you want, you can stay here, or if you would like to, you can lift your left foot off the ground. And you want to just go gently here. You don't want to thrust yourself into the posture. And you can pulse gently like this, lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Or if you like, take both of your hands and wrap it around your right thigh. Right thigh wrapping here, and hold. Whatever you choose to do, just take a couple deep breaths. There's no right or wrong. Whatever feels right for you. And then when you're ready, lower down, switch legs. Left ankle crossing onto the right thigh, and then with your left hand, just gently guide that left thigh out, and then see how it feels. You can lift and lower, lift and lower, and if you want to hold it, reach both of your hands around the back of your left thigh, interlace the fingers so you get a grip. Whatever you've chosen, both are perfect. All three are perfect, even if you're just down on the ground. And take a deep breath in and out here. Wherever you are, another deep breath in and out. And then slowly release. Here we have two options, or three actually. You can stay like this if you want. And if you want to stay in this way, you can allow your knees to topple into each other, and that will just allow any weight to be kind of released through the hips, through the pelvis. You just let the knees fall into each other, rest into each other like two best friends. Or you can lie down straight, okay, if that feels good for you in the spine and in the pelvis. Or you have the final option, which is you get the soles of your feet to touch in the middle and you gently let your knees fall out to the side. And I can tell you just from myself, this is much more intense, okay? So if you're feeling like you want to spice things up for yourself a little bit, it does definitely help create a release through the inner thighs and the groin, particularly the hips. But it does feel intense because we are generally quite tight in the hips, yeah? So see how that feels for you, and you might feel it in your lower back. If you feel it in your lower back, just lift your bum up for a second and then drop it back down, and hopefully that should help lengthen the lower spine. So you have three options here. You can be in this kind of butterfly pose, diamond pose, as various people call it, with the knees out to the sides. Or you can have your knees up, feet on the ground, knees touching like two mates, leaning into each other, supporting each other. Or you can lie down flat. And whatever you've chosen is the right thing for you. Having that trust. And we're going to take a few deep breaths and just guide you for 5 rounds of breathing, and then we can finish. When you're ready, take a deep breath in through the nose and a long breath out. And see if you can breathe out through the mouth this time. Take a long, deep breath in through the nose and a long breath out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose. Long breath out through the mouth. Deep breath in. Long breath out. Last one. Deep breath in through the nose. Really see if you can take your deepest breath of the evening. And out through the mouth, the longest breath that you can manage this evening. If you're in the butterfly pose, slowly bring your feet back onto the ground, knees up, and whether you're lying flat or with your knees up, it doesn't matter. Take your hands behind your head, interlace your fingers, and let your elbows fall out to the side. And we're going to just final sort of resetting of the nervous system and the vagus nerve, right? That communication between this beautiful nerve that runs through our body that directly connects to the brain. It's a cranial nerve, the vagus nerve. As you lie here, it doesn't matter what you do with the legs, as long as you're comfortable and feel steady. Take your gaze to the left, and I want you to imagine that you're looking at kind of 3 o'clock, or as far left to 3 o'clock as you can manage, that feels not too tense and strained in the eyes. And I want you to wait here until you either swallow, sigh, or yawn. And it can happen in a matter of seconds or just up to 10 seconds. So you want to see if you swallow, sigh, or yawn. Whichever one comes first is fine. Keep your gaze over to the left, 3 o'clock approximately. And once that's come to you, sighing, yawning, or swallowing, you can slowly roll over onto one side. And that usually I get people to kind of linger here and hang out in this position because it usually feels quite lovely. But up to you. You can stay here or you can take whichever position feels right for you as we wrap up. Thank you so much. An absolute honour. Oh, I can't hear you, Sheren. You're muted.
So calm, you can't hear me anymore. That was lovely, Ameneh. Wonderful. Thank you so much. We had one question come in about in the different poses, should the pelvic floor be relaxed or be tightened?
You should totally, when you're doing specifically a yoga like this evening, you shouldn't even think about the pelvis. You shouldn't think about tightening it or relaxing it. The key to actually relaxing the pelvic floor is to focus on your breathing and breathing into the belly. And I think for those who are experiencing discomfort in the pelvic region, be it, pudendal neuralgia or, vulvodynia, lichen sclerosis. And I believe that somebody mentioned, I'm so sorry that you couldn't lie on your stomach. But because of our focus being on, what doesn't feel right so much, we can tend to get ourselves quite wound up if we think, should the pelvis be doing this or should it be doing that? And I think a really nice way to kind of move away from that thinking is actually focusing on breathing into the belly. Because when we do that, we then are able to engage in diaphragmatic breathing, which will then, maybe not right away, but eventually allow for the pelvic floor to relax.
Wonderful. And lots of thank yous coming in. To wrap up, Amna, any points or strategies that you'd like people to have as take-home points?
I think ultimately the most important aspect of yoga is awareness. When we are able to cultivate awareness, we are then able to make decisions. And I as I came in after I'd cut out, I heard you talking about the gut microbiome and, the kind of the population of the guts, the bacteria in our guts. And that's got to do with, our diet, our stress response. So when we cultivate awareness, it extends to things like how we eat, the activities that we choose to engage in, how we choose to respond to what's happening outside of ourselves. So what I would say is, we see yoga and we think, oh, I'm not bendy, or I'm not flexible enough. But actually the juiciest and the most golden part of yoga is the slowing down, the breath work, and being kind to yourself. So if we can recruit those three aspects, the slowing down, the breath work, taking deep breaths whenever we can, in whichever position that you're comfortable in, and being kind to ourselves, those three are going to go a long way in helping us make, towards healing, basically.
Yeah, wonderful points. Absolutely. Slow down, that breath work, and kindness to ourselves, that compassion. Beautiful.
And they all bring about a very kind of grounded awareness, not a hyper alert awareness that something must be fixed, But in those practices, you become aware of, actually, what do I need right now? You learn to trust yourself. You learn to really, this is really the main thing that I practice nowadays. I don't do fancy postures. That's just not where the juice is, really.
Yeah. Ameneh, fantastic. Mimi says, ready to fall asleep now, but it's only 3 p.m. here. We'll have to repeat this at bedtime. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Feeling really calm. What a lovely way to wrap up our 2021 live stream season. Thank you so much, Ameneh, yoga teacher, and so much more. All the best with your therapeutic training as well.
Thank you.
And we'll certainly see you again. And there was a question here about, can we rewatch this? Absolutely. I've put the links up on for Facebook and YouTube. All our live streams are rewatchable on both of those platforms, together with our webinars from last year, which are available on our YouTube channel. And Ameneh, you did a lovely session for us last year as well, and there are, for those of you who do like some traditional and some poses, more poses, there are some there too that you can explore. So that's on our YouTube channel, those links I've put up already. So absolutely do rewatch and be guided through by Ameneh again anytime you choose. And a huge thank you from all of us at the Vulval Pain Society to everyone that has joined us, who has watched, who has listened live or on any of the replays. We appreciate you joining and interacting with us on social media, which means that we can help you better too. We love your emojis that you throw at us, all of it. We love it. We're a small charity and we do give up our time for free. And whilst we do that, we do have running costs, from the technology and the software that we use to leaflets we produced for GP surgeries, for primary care clinicians, and for other clinics too, so that anyone living with vulval pain can get better care. And next year we have the Vulval Pain Society conference coming up. This is a lovely thing, this conference that we run, Ameneh, and everyone who's watching. If you've not been to one of our conferences before, it brings together those who are living with vulval pain, loved ones, family can join, multidisciplinary clinicians, all in one room. Now, of course, because of the state of the world where we are at the moment, we'd love for that to be a hybrid event so that people can also join online. The costs, however, are looking pretty steep. Any small donations would be really, really welcome. And I'll pop a link up. And we're also planning more training workshops for healthcare providers too, which I think can be really important if we're to get the best treatment to people at the earliest opportunity. We seldom ask this. Today, we'd be really grateful for any small donation or any size donation, really, to help keep us delivering these events and more events coming up, and provide you with resources. Or, of course, if you have a fundraising idea, we'd love to hear about it. We've got to thank the University of Buckingham Women's Health Society, who baked and sold vulva cupcakes to raise awareness and money. We love that. So absolutely get in touch with us if you have awareness and fundraising ideas. Or if it's easier to donate a small amount, the link is there. So that's it for our live streams for us at the Vulval Pain Society this year. We will, of course, be back in 2022 with more. Feel free to let us know what you'd like us to cover, because we've covered so much already. We can dive further into more detail on any of the topics we've already covered, or anything else that you find might be really useful when it comes to vulval pain, whether you live with vulval pain or you are a clinician or a healthcare professional who wants to help people through better. So absolutely get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have certain speakers you'd like to hear from, just let us know who you'd like to hear from. In the meantime, you'll find lots of useful practical resources on our website,
vulvalpainsociety.org.uk.
revamped this year for you, so it's easier for you to find what you're looking for, easier on the eye too, I think. And you can reach out to us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, of course we're on YouTube, or you can email us.
info@vulvalpainsociety.org.uk.
Keep an eye out or an ear out for the date of our first 2022 live stream. That is all from the Vulval Pain Society team from now. Thank you again, Ameneh.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. The last one. What an honor. Thank you.
It's a lovely, lovely way to wrap up the year. And wishing all of you watching or listening, whether you're watching live or on the replay, wishing you all a peaceful or some lovely, joyful moments over the festive season. Bye for now. See you all in 2022. Bye-bye.